I've spent a little time in the history archives and have seen pictures of the terrain and the structures here before City View was built. The Knoxville Glove Factory, I believe, was on this site. It tended to be industrial, certainly not residential.
What I know about the history of this neighborhood is pretty much, what's on the placards at Fort Dickerson, what it was in the late 1800s. So not much in between, really, about this neighborhood in particular. I believe this was built on a glove factory, so I know it's definitely a manufacturing kind of place.
The limestone piers were there before the Civil War. The structure was not built until after the Civil War. So I look out my window and I say, there's a remnant of the Civil War, the limestone piers. So there is some significant history. The history of the university as it developed. During the Civil War, there are a number of pictures of the university on the hill, and it was appeared to be two or three isolated buildings standing sort of naked all alone, a very different scene than we see now when we look across the river.
I don't know that I could remember, but I read a book on the history of Knoxville right after we first moved here. Well, I learned a lot about Knoxville and its history and founders, but not specifically.
I know that it was the glove factory here before this was built. I've seen it in pictures. That's something I always try to, if I ever see an old aerial shot of Neyland Stadium through the years, I always try to stop and take a look, and see what was going on here. But that's what I know about the area, is that this was the glove factory or some sort of tannery.
I'm aware of that when Church Street Church was being built, that also the Henley Bridge was being planned. And so the church had to reorient their front to accommodate a new highway that was coming through, and of course that highway was leading to the Smoky Mountains. So that bridge and that main street to the Smoky Mountains is just to our east. But that occurred, I believe, in the 1930s.
I spend a lot of time walking through South Knoxville or driving through, so it's pretty evident to me that when Knoxville was formed, of course you're going to grow near the river first. And so I'd imagine many years ago South Knoxville was a major entity, and then it kind of grew to the other side of the river and out west. And now it's starting to come back and come back in a big way. Just in 5 years that I've been in Knoxville, huge improvements.
The overpass, railroad overpass that passes just to our east, was built in 1913. But the railroad came earlier than that, and therefore probably the railroad was at ground level until the overpass was built. So the railroad was built after the Civil War, completed after the Civil War. It's now a spur line of Norfolk Southern, which runs from Alcoa Aluminum, to the rail yards at Rutledge Pike. And so it has a very specific destination, and does not run on Sundays or weekends. Usually runs twice a week, and chugs along at what appears to be 10 miles an hour.
I love history, and I'd really love to know more. I hope that one of our projects will be exploring the history and putting together some sort of anthology or some sort of, I don't know, maybe even a coffee table book about what was here before we were.
There's been some interest in developing high-speed rail connecting Maryville and other areas south to downtown, and utilizing the existing trestle. So whether that will materialize, I'm not sure, but it has been investigated seriously. I don't know a lot of history about the quarry, other than, of course, it was part of the marble enterprise that gave Knoxville one of the tags of Marble City. It appears to have a lot more potential than is being realized. The municipality seems to be recognizing that, and I think there will be an enhancement of access from our side. So I think the future there of a more enhanced park is good, and in conjunction with the Civil War site that is being focused on by the city.